Hello and welcome to another week of Cascadia Mountain Weather. My name's Wyatt and it is Friday morning, March 22nd. I'm just here by myself this week, so I'll be taking you through a recap of last week's record warm temperatures, as well as an overlook of kind of this weekend, which will feature some periods of snow, some sun breaks, and some scattered showers kind of moving through. So last week was remarkably warm. Temperatures over the entire week averaged 6 to 10 degrees above normal, but some days were significantly warmer. When you look at some of the record highs from last Saturday, which was one of the warmest days, and Seattle approached 75 degrees, Bellingham was near 70 degrees, and Quileute out near the Washington coast got near 80 degrees or hit 80 degrees. That's actually was 16 degrees above the previous record for the day and 2 weeks earlier than the previous record first or earliest 80-degree temperature. So it was remarkably warm, and that pattern kind of consisted through it started out dry early last week, and then moving all the way through up to kind of Wednesday, Thursday of this this week that we just are finishing. We can also look at, it's kind of a pattern of warm temperatures that we've seen this past year or this past winter. So this is looking at the average temperature from December through February for the entire US. And for the entire US, it was a record warm winter, and that was specifically driven by the northern tier of the country. You can see that New York, North Dakota, Wisconsin, all of these areas up here had their record warmest temperature. So the number represents like basically the higher the number, the warmer it was, where 129 is like the warmest in the 129-year period of record. You can see that Washington, it was about the 10th warmest winter on record. So pretty warm, and that was mostly driven by the east side. The further east you went, the warmer it got. Western Washington was definitely warmer than normal, and we saw that in our mountain snowpack. But it was only maybe 1 to 2, maybe 3 degrees above normal. So it wasn't terribly warm, but overall the state was pretty hot. Precipitation was pretty near normal, which is honestly something that you would relatively expect with an El Nino. El Nino is warmer than normal, but not all Ninos end up having kind of this drier than normal moniker that we generally think. So we saw near average precipitation, both for the state as a whole and kind of over any certain part of the state. 65 is right in that 130-year record. The warm temperatures last week also led to quite dramatic drops in our snow depth. So you can see that Mount Baker dropped from 125 inches to about 90 inches, Paradise from 170 to 120 inches. So we lost anywhere from 20 to 25% of the snow depth, but that doesn't tell the whole story. And obviously no new snow over the last week, although that's about to change. Our snow water equivalent actually fared a little bit better. So this is looking about a week ago on March 13th, before we went into this drier and warmer than normal pattern. And we certainly weren't doing well in Washington, especially in the northern sections where the Olympics and the North Cascades were only about 60% of normal. But we were doing okay in the southern sections. If we move to today, we can see that in general, we've lost about 5 to maybe 10% of the percent of normal snowpack, and about 10% of that kind of snowpack or snow water equivalent that we had before the warm period. So while we lost 25% of the snow depth, only about 10% of the snowpack. So we saw a lot of compaction and also just kind of melting and seeing that snow densen up. So hopefully as we move into late March and into early April, we'll see some of these numbers boost up a bit. Another thing to notice is that we're not quite done with our period for accumulating snowfall. Even though it is getting into the end of March, we still have anywhere from about 3 to 6 weeks left where we generally see the snowpack continue to increase in a normal year. And that's highlighted in kind of the Central Cascades. This is near Snoqualmie Pass at 4,000 feet, where April 15th is generally about that average highest depth that you'll see. If we move to the Olympics, similarly, it's about that 15th, 16th, 17th, mid to late April timeframe. In the North Cascades, at a higher elevation, about 5,000 feet, it pushes a little bit later to that late April timeframe. And then once again at 5,000 feet, kind of more near Mount Rainier, we also see that pattern. So the higher up you go and the more north you go, the later that peak pushes. But yeah, we still have about 4, maybe 5 weeks left for that snow to accumulate. And even through May, we can see lots of accumulating snow. So the weather this weekend. We have this low pressure system off the west coast that is slowly rotating and kind of tearing itself apart. It's going to send some pushes of moisture in as we move through the weekend before a cold front moves through from kind of the north, and that will drop snow levels down, especially going into early next week. If we look at precipitation chances, let's get to Friday. So we're seeing some precipitation, especially in kind of northern Washington and on Friday morning. As we move through the day Friday, we'll see showers on and off. And then the main push of moisture will come through early Saturday morning. And that might hang around and get stalled a little bit up here near like Skagit, Whatcom counties in the North Cascades, and might drop some more moisture and some more snowfall. But Sunday actually looks like a pretty nice day where we're going to see clearing from the north, although there might be a couple showers still hanging around. As I mentioned, snow levels are pretty high at the moment. They're up near 5,000 or 6,000 feet almost. And then, so this is kind of Friday morning. This is Saturday morning. You can see as we move into the day Saturday into Sunday, we'll see them drop to that maybe 3,000 to 4,000 foot level and hang out there for the rest of next week as we see continued precipitation chances. So that's where we might see some snow. And this is pretty normal for this time of the year. In terms of accumulating snowfall, that is the biggest question. Some models, this is the American model, and specifically kind of a higher resolution version of it, suggests that we might get maybe 6 to 8 inches, especially kind of in the central and northern Cascades. The passes might not see much. You're going to see a lot more as you go up in elevation. You can see off to the right here where the places kind of average above 7,000 feet. You're seeing a lot more snowfall than the places that average kind of in that 4,000 foot range. On the other hand, the European model suggests that maybe we'll only see 2 to 4 inches. And this is kind of the gold standard model. So it's a little bit unclear. And then as we go into the highest resolution models, this is the NAM 3 kilometer model. So pretty high resolution. It suggests that we might get maybe anywhere from 12 to 18 inches of snow over the next couple of days, especially in kind of that north central area. So a little bit of uncertainty. National Weather Service is going with the lower end. So that's probably where I'm liable to think. But I wouldn't be surprised in the North Cascades to see some places pick up upwards of 6 to 8 inches of snow, especially above that 4,000 foot mark. Once again, this is just highlighting we're about 5,000 to 6,000 feet snow levels right now. And as we move through the weekend into next week, we'll be in about that 3,000 foot mark. Temperatures are going to be pretty variable. They'll be in the mid 30s, roughly, low to mid 30s, depending on your elevation. This is for near the Mount Baker ski area at 5,000 feet. And you can see that at the moment, Sunday's showing warmer than Saturday, kind of highs near 40. That's because of the sun. The sun is strong enough at this time of year that even if it comes out for a minute, it really will start to kind of destroy any new snow that has fallen and warm temperatures up really quickly. And there's a higher chance of seeing snow or of sun on Sunday than on Saturday. This is highlighting the cloud conditions. So Saturday is like, we'll see some periods of sun breaks, but it's definitely going to be the wetter day and the snowier day at elevation. And then as we move into Sunday, we should see clearing, as I mentioned, from the north as that cold front a little bit drapes over the area, but you might still see these showers hanging around in the central and southern Cascades. Avalanche risk is not particularly high this weekend. The warmer temperatures over the past week and now dropping into a cooler temperature regime has really cemented that snowpack. And that weak layer that we have been worried about for a long time on the East Cascades has not completely disappeared, but it has healed quite a bit in most areas. So that's why we're seeing generally moderate avalanche danger at elevation and low kind of near tree line. There's a chance if we get enough snow on Saturday that Sunday could bump into the considerable area, considerable range for some areas. And you can see that as of Friday, at least with such high snow levels, we're generally seeing just like glide avalanches is kind of the biggest risk because we still have a lot of water percolating through the snowfall, through the snowpack. Finally, looking out long term, this is the 18 to 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. It's a little bit unclear. It does look like next week we might end up picking up 1 to 2 feet of snow, but snowfall has been decreasing as we get closer to it. So it's hard to know if that trend will continue or not. But we will be in a cooler and maybe wetter than normal pattern. So that is a good chance for us to get snowfall. And even longer term, it's pretty much up in the air. It doesn't look like any like big sort of ridge warming trend that we saw last week is going to happen in the next couple of weeks, but it can always pop up. And then finally, wanted to give a shout out to all our patrons who continue to support us as we make these weekly videos. Really, really supports us. It's $5 a month if you would like to have access to our more specific kind of recreation forecast, where we go into more details about areas that might be the best areas to recreate, what days might be best to get out. And also if you just want to support our efforts as we make these videos, it's really, really helpful. So you can go to CascadiaMountainWeather.com, which will redirect you to our Patreon page. So thanks so much. Thanks for joining another week, and we'll see you soon.